Have you ever wondered what really happens when you stop giving her attention? Not just pulling back for a day, but genuinely stepping away, stopping the calls, the texts, the chasing. What goes through her mind? What does she feel when the validation she's come to expect suddenly disappears? Men, the truth is shocking. Women are emotional creatures wired to respond to power dynamics. And when you take your attention away, you're not just stepping back, you're flipping her entire reality upside down. You're forcing her to think, to feel, and to react in ways she never thought possible. If you've ever felt powerless in relationships, if you've ever wondered how to regain control and command respect, this is the wake-up call you've been waiting for. In today's world, women are surrounded by endless validation. A swipe here, a like there. Every moment of their lives is filled with men fighting for their attention. But here's the problem. All that attention has made them take it for granted. They've come to expect the chase, to believe they hold all the cards. And most men, blinded by the fear of rejection or the need to impress, play right into their hands. But not you. You're here because you're different. You're here because you're ready to step back, to stop chasing, and to make her work for your attention. The moment you pull back, everything changes. Women don't handle silence well. They don't handle mystery well. When you step back, when you stop chasing, you create a vacuum in her mind, a space where doubt, curiosity, and obsession take over. She starts to wonder why. Why isn't he texting? Why doesn't he care? Did he find someone better? That's when you flip the script. And men, that's when you reclaim your power. If you've ever felt like she's had the upper hand, like no matter what you did, it was never enough, this is your moment. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why ignoring her changes everything, and how it puts you in control of the dynamic, maybe for the first time ever. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will challenge everything you've been taught about relationships, about women, and about what it truly means to be a man. You've been told to chase, but I'm going to show you why the real power lies in doing the opposite. Number 1. Ignoring activates her instincts. The moment you stop chasing her, you're no longer just a man in her eyes. You become a question she can't answer, a void she can't fill, and a mystery she can't ignore. Women are biologically wired to chase what feels unattainable. Their instincts are rooted in evolution, and whether they realize it or not, they are drawn to the challenge. This is why ignoring her doesn't just affect her emotions, it shakes her very foundation. It's not manipulation, it's a lesson in control, and it's how you take the upper hand in any dynamic. Think about it. In today's modern world, women are drowning in male attention. Every swipe on her phone brings another match. Every social media post garners countless likes. And every moment of the day, she's reminded of how easily she can command attention. But all of that validation becomes background noise when you decide not to play along. You're not another admirer. You're the man who makes her question herself. That's when the game changes. When you step back and stop chasing her, her mind doesn't stay still. It spirals. At first, she'll be confused. She'll ask herself why you're not reaching out like the others, why you're not tripping over yourself to win her approval. That confusion quickly turns into doubt. Suddenly, she's wondering if she wasn't good enough, if you've found someone better, or if she's lost the power she thought she had over you. Women hate losing control, and when you ignore her, that's exactly what happens. Here's the secret most men don't understand. Women are wired to chase the man who doesn't need them. When you stop chasing, you strip her of the validation she's come to expect. You create a void in her life, a space that used to be filled by your texts, calls, compliments, and attention. But now, that space is empty, and she can't stand it. Women don't crave attention, they crave specific attention. The kind of attention that comes from a man they admire, respect, and can't control. And when you stop giving her that, you stand out from every other man she's ever known. What happens next? She begins to chase. She'll start posting provocative pictures, tagging herself at places she thinks you'll see, and making subtle moves to get your attention. But behind those actions lies desperation. She'll never admit it, but her need for validation has gone into overdrive, and the more silent you stay, the more she craves you. Women aren't used to being ignored, especially not by a man they once believed they had wrapped around their finger. When you ignore her, you force her to see you differently. You become the man who isn't impressed, the man who doesn't fall for her games, and the man she can't manipulate. Ignoring her also plays into the psychology of value. Women value what they have to work for. Think about it. When something comes too easily, it's taken for granted. But when there's a challenge, it becomes desirable. By stepping back and refusing to chase her, you become a challenge. She starts to wonder why you're different, what makes you immune to her usual tactics, and why she can't stop thinking about you. It's not just about being mysterious, it's about positioning yourself as the prize. Modern relationships have flipped the script. Women hold all the cards because most men are too afraid to walk away. They're afraid of losing her, of being alone, of not finding someone better. But you're not like most men. You're willing to step back, to prioritize your own value, and to make her work for your attention. And that's what drives her crazy. Women aren't attracted to desperation. They're attracted to power, confidence, and self-control. When you ignore her, you're showing her all three. This isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your power as a man. Too many men today give away their power without realizing it. They overinvest in women who haven't earned it. They prioritize her needs over their own, and they chase validation like it's a badge of honor. But when you ignore her, you take all that power back. You remind her and yourself that you're not just another option. You're the man she can't stop thinking about. There's also a deeper psychological layer to this. Women are emotional creatures, and their emotions are their greatest motivators. When you ignore her, you trigger a storm of emotions: confusion, frustration, longing, and even jealousy. She starts to imagine scenarios in her head. Are you with someone else? Have you moved on? Did she make a mistake? These thoughts consume her because they're tied to her ego. Women hate the idea of losing a man who was once interested in them. It feels like failure, and that feeling drives her obsession. But here's where most men go wrong. They cave. They see her posting pictures with another guy, or they hear through the grapevine that she's moved on, and they panic. They reach out, they apologize, they try to win her back. And in doing so, they hand over all the power they've gained. Don't be that man. When you ignore her, commit to it. Stand firm in your silence and let her actions speak louder than words. Women are experts at testing your resolve. They'll try to provoke a reaction, to see if you still care, to pull you back into their web. But your strength lies in your ability to stay unbothered. Remember, ignoring her isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about creating space for her to realize your value. When you're constantly chasing, you're telling her, consciously or not, that she's the prize. But when you step back, you flip the script. You become the prize, the man she can't stop thinking about, the man she wants but can't have. That's the power of ignoring her. Modern relationships are built on power dynamics, and the man who controls the dynamic controls the relationship. By ignoring her, you're taking control in a way she can't resist. You're not just a man anymore. You're a challenge, a mystery, and a force she can't ignore. And the best part, you're doing it all without lifting a finger. When you stop chasing her, you're not just changing the dynamic, you're changing the narrative. You're showing her that you're a man of value, a man who doesn't settle, and a man who knows his worth. And that's what separates you from the rest. Women might not say it, but deep down they respect the man who stands his ground. They respect the man who doesn't need them to feel whole, and they respect the man who can walk away without looking back. Number 2, her need for validation will go into overdrive. When you ignore her, you're not just stepping back, you're pulling the rug out from under her entire emotional framework. Women crave validation. It's not a want, it's not a preference, it's a core part of their psychology. Modern society has only amplified this. Think about it. Every like on social media, every comment under her picture, every swipe on a dating app feeds the same need, the need to feel wanted, desired, and above all, validated. But when you step out of that cycle, you create a void that she can't easily replace, and that void consumes her. In a world where women are constantly chased, where men line up to tell her how beautiful she is, how lucky they'd be to have her, your silence is deafening. It's not just noticeable, it's piercing. She can't ignore it because you're doing what most men don't have the strength to do. You're withholding the one thing she's come to expect: attention. This isn't about being petty. It's about showing her that you're different, and trust me, she'll notice. When her need for validation kicks into overdrive, it's not subtle. She'll start doing things she never did before, things she probably doesn't even realize she's doing. Maybe she'll post more pictures, the kind designed to make you look twice. Maybe she'll start going out more, tagging herself at places she knows you'll see. It might even go deeper. She could begin reaching out indirectly, asking mutual friends about you, trying to gather information without appearing too obvious. All of this stems from the same place: the need to feel like she still has your attention even when you're not giving it to her. Women don't handle rejection well, and ignoring her is the ultimate form of rejection. It's not an insult, it's not a fight, it's just silence. And silence speaks louder than any argument or confrontation ever could. When you go silent, you force her to deal with the fact that she's no longer the center of your world. That realization hits her harder than any words ever could, because it strikes at her core. Women want to feel important, and when you take that away, it shakes their confidence. This isn't just about her emotions, it's about how she views herself. Women define a lot of their value through how others perceive them. When you ignore her, you disrupt that perception. Suddenly, she's questioning things she never questioned before. Is she not attractive enough? Did she do something wrong? Has she lost her edge? These thoughts aren't fleeting, they linger. And the longer you stay silent, the louder they become in her mind. Modern relationships have conditioned women to expect men to chase them relentlessly. They've been taught that their value lies in how many men are willing to compete for their attention. But when you ignore her, you're refusing to play that game. You're telling her, without saying a word, that her worth to you isn't based on her looks or her ability to attract attention. And that throws her off balance. Women are used to being in control, and when you take that control away, it forces them to reevaluate everything. Here's what most men don't understand. Ignoring her isn't just about walking away, it's about creating space for her to realize what she's lost. Women don't respond to logic, they respond to emotion. When you ignore her, you're triggering emotions she can't ignore. She'll feel confused, frustrated, and even angry at first. But over time, those emotions will shift. She'll start to miss you, to wonder why you're not chasing her like the others. And that's when her need for validation becomes overwhelming. This isn't manipulation, it's human psychology. Women thrive on attention, and when you take that away, they don't just move on, they fixate. They start to wonder why you're not giving them what they're used to. And in that wondering, they begin to chase. It's not a conscious decision, it's instinct. Women chase what they feel they've lost because they hate the idea of not being wanted. They need to feel desired, and your silence creates a vacuum that pulls them in. But this only works if you stay strong. Too many men crumble under the pressure. They see her posting pictures, laughing with friends, or talking to other guys, and they panic. They think, she's moved on, I need to do something. And that's when they lose all the ground they've gained. Women test you. They'll push your buttons to see if you're really as confident as you seem. They'll try to make you jealous, to provoke a reaction, to force you to reach out. But you need to stand your ground. The beauty of ignoring her is that it puts the ball in her court. She has to decide whether to chase you or let you go. And 9 times out of 10, she'll chase. Why? Because women hate losing. They hate the idea of a man walking away without explanation. It makes them feel powerless, and that's not something they're used to. When you ignore her, you're showing her that you're not like the rest. You're not a man who can be controlled, manipulated, or swayed by emotions. And that's exactly what makes you irresistible. Women respect men who respect themselves. When you ignore her, you're showing her that you value your time, your energy, and your attention. You're telling her, without saying a word, that you're not going to waste your resources on someone who doesn't appreciate them. And that's powerful. Most men are so desperate for female validation that they'll do anything to get it. But you're different. You're a man who knows his worth, and that's what sets you apart. The longer you stay silent, the more she'll obsess. It's not about being cruel, it's about giving her the space to realize what she's missing. Women need to feel the absence of your attention to appreciate its value. And when they do, they'll come back. But this time, the dynamic will be different. You'll be in control, and she'll be the one fighting for your validation. Ignoring her isn't easy. It takes strength, discipline, and a clear understanding of your own worth. But the rewards are worth it. When you stop chasing her, you're not just changing the relationship, you're changing yourself. You're becoming the man you were always meant to be. And that's a man who doesn't need anyone's validation to feel complete. Number 3. The emotional roller coaster, from anger to obsession. When you ignore her, you ignite a firestorm of emotions that she can't control. It's not just a game of silence, it's an emotional earthquake. Women are emotional creatures by design, and when you disrupt the attention they've come to depend on, you send them into a spiral that shifts from anger to confusion, from frustration to obsession. This isn't just about ignoring her, it's about creating a reaction so profound that she can't ignore you. At first, she's furious. She's not used to this. She's used to being in control, to being the center of every man's universe. She's the one who decides when to respond, who to entertain, and who to leave behind. But when you ignore her, you flip that dynamic. Suddenly, she's the one wondering, waiting, and overthinking. That anger she feels, it's not really about you. It's about the loss of control. She can't understand why you're not playing by her rules, why you're not doing what every other man does. Chase her relentlessly. This anger manifests in different ways. She might lash out, post cryptic messages online, or even try to make you jealous by flaunting other guys in front of you. But every one of these actions is rooted in one thing: the need to regain the power she feels she's lost. Her anger isn't just an emotion, it's a mask. Beneath it lies confusion and insecurity, and the longer you stay silent, the more that mask begins to slip. As time passes, the anger starts to fade. It's not sustainable. Anger requires energy, and when she doesn't get a reaction from you, she begins to question herself instead. That's when confusion sets in. Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he chasing me? Is he really done with me? These questions don't just linger, they consume her. Women aren't used to men who don't crack under pressure. They're not used to silence. And that silence becomes the loudest thing in her world. This confusion isn't just emotional, it's psychological. When you ignore her, you're forcing her to confront the idea that she might not be as in control as she thought. She starts replaying your last interactions, looking for clues, trying to figure out what went wrong. She might even begin to doubt herself in ways she never has before. Women thrive on certainty, on knowing where they stand, and when you take that away, you're forcing them into unfamiliar territory. It's uncomfortable, but it's also powerful, because in that discomfort, she starts to obsess. Obsession is the final stage of this emotional roller coaster. It doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, it's undeniable. At first, she's just curious, checking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, casually dropping your name in conversations. But as time goes on, that curiosity turns into something deeper. She can't stop thinking about you, about why you've gone silent, about what she can do to bring you back. And the more she thinks, the more consumed she becomes. This obsession isn't just about missing you, it's about needing to prove something to herself. Women hate to feel like they've lost, and when you ignore her, that's exactly how she feels. She's no longer in control of the narrative, no longer the one calling the shots. And that loss of control fuels her obsession. She starts to view you not just as a man, but as a challenge, a puzzle she needs to solve, a prize she needs to win back. But here's the catch. Obsession doesn't make her stronger. It makes her vulnerable. When a woman obsesses over a man, she's no longer thinking logically. Her emotions take over, driving her to do things she wouldn't normally do. She might reach out to you directly, send a text late at night, or even show up where she knows you'll be. These actions aren't just signs of interest, they're signs of desperation. And that desperation gives you all the power. This emotional roller coaster isn't just about her. It's about you too. It's about showing you that you don't need to chase, that you don't need to overextend yourself to win her over. By ignoring her, you're proving to yourself that you're in control of your own emotions, that you're not dependent on her validation to feel worthy. And that self-control, that inner strength, is what makes you truly irresistible. Women respect men who can walk away, who can stand firm in their decisions, who don't let emotions dictate their actions. When you ignore her, you're not just affecting her, you're transforming yourself. You're becoming the man who commands respect, not because he demands it, but because he earns it through his actions. This journey from anger to obsession is powerful, but it only works if you stay consistent. The moment you give in, the moment you reach out to her, you undo everything you've built. Women are experts at testing men, at pushing boundaries to see how far they can go. But your strength lies in your ability to remain unshaken, to stand firm in your silence, to let her emotions run their course without interfering. The beauty of this process is that it's not about manipulation, it's about authenticity. You're not playing games. You're showing her that you're a man who values himself, a man who doesn't need to rely on anyone else to feel whole. And that authenticity is what separates you from the rest. Women are used to men who cave, who falter, who give in at the first sign of resistance. But you're different. You're the man who walks away, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows his worth. This emotional roller coaster isn't just about her reactions, it's about your growth. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase, who doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. It's about reclaiming your power, not just in relationships, but in every aspect of your life. And when you do that, you're not just changing the dynamic, you're changing yourself. And that, my friend, is the ultimate victory. Number 4. The psychological power of mystery. When you ignore her, you become a living enigma, a mystery she cannot solve, and that drives her insane. Women are naturally wired to seek clarity, to understand what's happening, to piece together the puzzle of their world. And when you remove yourself from her grasp, you don't just disappear. You create a void she's desperate to fill. Women can't resist the unknown. It's part of their psychology, part of how they're built. They're drawn to what's elusive, what feels just out of reach. By stepping back, by going silent, you don't make her forget you. You make her fixate on you. Modern relationships have stripped away the art of mystery. With social media, dating apps, and constant connectivity, everyone's life is an open book. She's used to men broadcasting their every move, posting their every thought, and laying all their cards on the table. But when you choose not to play that game, when you go against the grain and guard your moves, you stand out. And not just in a small way, you stand out in a way that shakes her to her core. When you ignore her, she begins to wonder, where are you? Who are you with? Why aren't you reaching out? These questions don't just linger in her mind, they consume her. Women are emotional creatures, and when you pull away, you trigger emotions she can't ignore. Confusion, curiosity, frustration, all of these swirl in her mind, creating a storm that centers around you. And the less you reveal, the stronger that storm becomes. Mystery isn't about playing games, it's about maintaining control. Too many men today throw their value away by oversharing, by making themselves too available, by trying too hard to prove themselves. But when you stay silent, when you keep your moves to yourself, you hold all the power. You become the man she can't predict, the man who doesn't follow the script, the man who keeps her guessing. And that's exactly the kind of man she can't resist. The psychology behind this is simple. Women value what they don't fully understand. They crave the thrill of the chase, the excitement of uncovering something new. When you're mysterious, you tap into that craving. You become a puzzle she's determined to solve, a challenge she can't walk away from. And the more she tries to figure you out, the more invested she becomes. Imagine this. She's scrolling through her phone, looking for clues about what you're doing, who you're with, why you've gone quiet. She checks your social media, your last online status, your posts, anything that might give her a hint, but there's nothing. No updates, no messages, no signs of life. That silence doesn't just frustrate her, it drives her crazy, because now she's left to her own imagination, and her imagination is far more powerful than any reality. Women are experts at creating stories in their minds. When you ignore her, when you stay mysterious, you give her the space to do exactly that. She starts imagining all kinds of scenarios. Scenarios where you're thriving without her, where you've moved on, where someone else is taking the place she thought was hers. These thoughts don't just bother her, they haunt her. And the longer you stay silent, the more intense those thoughts become. This isn't about manipulation, it's about self-respect. By staying mysterious, you're showing her that you're not an open book, that your life isn't something she has automatic access to. You're showing her that you value your privacy, your boundaries, and your independence. And women respect that. They might not admit it, but deep down, they're drawn to men who don't give everything away. It's the unknown that keeps them intrigued. The beauty of mystery is that it forces her to put in the effort. When you don't reveal your every move, she has to work to figure you out. She has to invest time, energy, and thought into understanding you. And that investment makes her care more. It's human nature to value what we work for, and by staying mysterious, you're making her work. You're making her earn the right to be part of your world. And that's something most men never do. Too many men try to win women over by being overly accommodating, by answering every question, by sharing every detail of their lives. But that approach doesn't build attraction. it kills it. When everything is laid out on the table, there's nothing left to discover. And without discovery, there's no intrigue. Without intrigue, there's no chase. And without the chase, there's no desire. Women don't want a man who's predictable, who's easy to figure out, who gives everything away. They want a man who challenges them, who keeps them guessing, who makes them wonder. They want a man who lives his life on his own terms, not someone who bends over backward to please them. By staying mysterious, you become that man. You become the man she can't stop thinking about, the man she can't stop chasing, the man she can't resist. This doesn't mean you have to play games or hide who you are. It's not about deception, it's about discretion. It's about knowing what to share and what to keep to yourself. It's about understanding that your life, your thoughts and your emotions are valuable, and not everyone deserves access to them. When you carry yourself with that kind of confidence, it shows. And women notice. They notice the way you hold yourself, the way you move, the way you interact, and they're drawn to it. Mystery is magnetic because it creates space for her imagination to run wild. And in that space, you become larger than life. You're no longer just a man. You're an idea, a fantasy, a challenge. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Women don't obsess over what they fully understand. They obsess over what they can't. By staying mysterious, by keeping her guessing, you ensure that she can't fully pin you down. And that uncertainty keeps her hooked. The power of mystery isn't just about her. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your power, your independence, your identity. It's about living your life on your own terms, without feeling the need to explain yourself to anyone. When you embrace mystery, you're not just changing how she sees you, you're changing how you see yourself. You're becoming a man of value, a man of purpose, a man who doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. And that, above all else, is what makes you irresistible. 5. Take back your frame and command respect. Taking back your frame is not just a choice, it's a necessity. In today's world, too many men give away their power without even realizing it. They prioritize her needs, chase her validation, and bend over backward just to keep her interested. But here's the truth. Every time you do that, every time you put her on a pedestal, you're giving her the control that should be yours. Taking back your frame isn't about being aggressive, it's about being assertive. It's about reclaiming the respect that comes when you show her, and yourself, that you're the one in charge of your life. Women respect men who respect themselves. This is not a cliché. It's a reality rooted in human psychology. When you prioritize yourself, your goals, and your purpose, you send a clear message. You're not living for her approval, and you're not willing to sacrifice your identity just to keep her around. That's power, and power commands respect. When you take back your frame, you stop being the man who adjusts to her world, and you become the man who defines his own. That's the kind of man she can't help but admire. Here's the harsh truth most men don't want to hear. If you don't take control of the frame, she will. Women are natural testers. They push boundaries, not because they're cruel, but because they want to see what kind of man you are. Are you someone who stands firm, who has a spine, who knows his worth? Or are you someone who folds at the first sign of conflict, who sacrifices his principles just to keep the peace? Every time you let her take control, you're showing her that you're not the man she thought you were. And once that respect is gone, so is the attraction. Taking back your frame starts with one simple decision: putting yourself first. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Too many men lose themselves in relationships because they forget who they are. They start living for her approval, changing their behavior to make her happy, and in doing so, they lose the very qualities that made her attracted to them in the first place. Women don't want a man who lives for them, they want a man who lives for himself. A man with a purpose, a man with a vision, a man who doesn't need her validation to feel complete. When you take back your frame, you're setting boundaries. You're making it clear that while you value her, you value yourself even more. Boundaries aren't about shutting her out. They're about showing her where the line is. When you set boundaries, you're telling her that your time, your energy, and your attention are valuable, and that not everyone has access to them. Women may not say it outright, but they respect a man who knows how to say no. They respect a man who isn't afraid to walk away if those boundaries are crossed. Respect and attraction go hand in hand. A woman can't truly desire a man she doesn't respect. And respect isn't something you demand, it's something you command through your actions. When you take back your frame, you're not just asking for respect, you're earning it. You're showing her that you're a man who knows his worth, a man who doesn't compromise on his principles, and a man who won't settle for less than he deserves. That's the kind of man who stands out in a world full of guys willing to do anything for a shred of attention. Taking back your frame also means embracing your masculinity. Modern relationships have tried to dilute what it means to be a man, to shame men for wanting to lead, to provide, to protect. But the truth is, women are drawn to men who embody those qualities. They want a man who can take charge, who can make decisions, who isn't afraid to step up and lead. When you embrace your masculinity, you're not just taking back your frame, you're stepping into the role you were meant to play. And that's a role no one else can fill. When you take back your frame, you're also shifting the focus of the relationship. It's no longer about what she wants, what she needs, or what makes her happy. It's about balance. It's about creating a dynamic where both of you contribute, where both of you bring value, and where neither of you is putting the other on a pedestal. Women don't want to be the center of your universe. They want to be part of your journey. When you take back your frame, you're inviting her to join you, not to lead you. One of the most powerful ways to take back your frame is through silence. When you stop explaining yourself, justifying your actions, or seeking her approval, you're showing her that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Silence is strength. It's confidence. It's the ability to stand firm in your decisions without feeling the need to defend them. Women notice that, they feel it, and they respect it, because a man who doesn't need validation is a man who already knows his worth. Taking back your frame also means being willing to walk away. This is where most men fail. They're so afraid of losing her that they'll put up with disrespect, with manipulation, with behavior they'd never tolerate from anyone else. But here's the truth. The moment you're willing to walk away is the moment you take back all the power in the relationship. When she knows you're not afraid to leave, she'll think twice before crossing your boundaries, because she knows that you're a man who won't settle for anything less than what he deserves. Women are drawn to strength, not physical strength, but inner strength. The kind of strength that comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to tolerate. When you take back your frame, you're showing her that you're a man who stands on solid ground, a man who isn't swayed by emotions, by manipulation, or by the fear of being alone. That's the kind of man who commands respect. That's the kind of man she can't help but admire. Taking back your frame is about more than just relationships. It's about your life. It's about setting standards for yourself, about living with purpose, and about refusing to compromise on what matters most. When you take back your frame, you're not just changing the dynamic with her, you're changing the dynamic with the world. You're becoming the man you were always meant to be. And that's a man who doesn't chase respect, he commands it. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you pull back and reclaim your attention, you're doing more than just ignoring her. You're reshaping the entire dynamic. Women don't crave what's easy. They're wired to value what feels out of reach. By stepping back, you're creating space for her to realize your worth, to feel the absence of your attention, and to question everything she thought she controlled. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding female psychology and using it to your advantage. If this hit you, if this opened your eyes, drop a comment below. I'm done chasing. Let's hear your voice. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. When you subscribe, you're not just helping yourself. You're helping other men discover the truth. You're breaking the cycle of weak relationships and creating a brotherhood of men who understand their worth. The content you've just watched is only the beginning. Stick around, because this channel is here to arm you with the knowledge, the mindset, and the strategies to thrive, not just in relationships, but in life. Don't just watch, be part of the movement. Hit that bell icon to make sure you never miss the next video.